Hello, I'm Rob McGaughey with Timbral Research, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about how to use the Impulsive library inside of a mix. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and jump in and take our snare track. And we'll go up to our snare track here, and we're going to create an aux input. So I'm going to go out here to bus 3, and we'll send that here. So now here's bus 3, and we'll give it a little bit of gain. And actually what I'd like to do is rename it. Let's go ahead and name this thing snare plate. Real creative, original name here. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to create a new track. This new track, I want it to be a mono aux input, because what I want is a mono input, reverb, and then stereo output. So I'm going to create this aux input, and we'll go ahead and name it as well. We'll name it snare plate as well. So now its input needs to come from the bus that we just opened up on the snare plate here. Then I'm going to insert a plugin, a convolution reverb called TL Space. So what I'm going to use here, I'm going to grab TL Space, medium, mono, and stereo out. Should be perfect for this application. So you see this comes up, with the stock preset from within TL Space. And then actually below it, you'll see the Impulsive IR library. Now, what you can do is you can store this inside of Impulsive, so when it comes up, everything's there where you can easily get inside it. Let me show you how to do that. Actually, the first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll remove it. So we'll remove the imported IR folder. Now it's gone. Go back and click on Edit. So the first time you come in, you're going to click on Edit, go to Import Other IR Folder, then go to your drive where you've installed the Impulsive library, click on it, and go to the folder called Impulsive IR Library, and click Choose. Now it shows up inside of the TL Space browser, and you see the 4 different folders. There's 4 different sections. Modern Masters, which is more modern, high-end, expensive hardware reverbs. Vintage Collection, which tends to be the high-end, expensive reverb of things that were done, 10, 20 plus years ago. Project Studio Classics, which tend to be things that were very popular, but maybe not as expensive, things that you might have been in the hundreds of dollars as opposed to the thousands of dollars. There's a number of things in there that are kind of cool. And then Custom Collection, which as we were putting all this together, we found a bunch of different things that'd be cool to mix and match this and that, some synthetic things, some impulses that kind of came from kind of unusual sources, or just things we kind of found that we thought were kind of cool. So we just kind of put them in this Custom Collection. It's kind of where all those things live. So for this particular example, I'm going to grab something from our Vintage Collection. So we'll click on this and we'll go down to the American 90s folder. There's something in there I'd like to, I think would be perfect for this. And then when you open that up, you see there's actually 2 choices. One is 48K and the other is Eco. And these are the sample rates, or basically the resolution of the impulses. If you look at some of the more modern ones, you'll see things that may be at 96K as well. In this case, you have 96K, 44.1, and Eco. This allows you to pick and choose which one you need based on quality versus managing your DSP resources. In many cases, it's very difficult to hear the difference between 96K and 44.1. If you have something really exposed where you can hear the difference, we've got a 96K version. If you want 44.1 to help you save some DSP, that's fine. Or in some cases, the Eco versions may work perfect if it's in a mix and not really exposed, or in some cases, they're really just hard to hear the difference between the two. So you can pick and choose the one of a quality versus DSP management. We wanted to give you the power to have different options. So those are different things. The Eco things are very efficient though, so they may work really well and sound just fine. In this case, I think I'm going to use the 48K reverb from the American 90s, which is the stock sample rate of this particular hardware reverb. And I'm going to go into the plate section. Actually, there's a folder called Plates, Drums, and Percussion, which is the way this particular device is laid out. And I like this patch cool plate. So I'm going to go ahead and load that up. So this loads up. You see the Impulsive logo here, Real Evolution technology, which is how the process for which these impulses are made. It's what makes them unique. And then you see the waveform of what it looks like. So now I've got that here. Let's go ahead and just solo up this track. And first thing we need to do is solo safe our snare plate. So we'll hold down the Command key, click on the solo button, and now we'll play the file. So it's a mic snare track. You got some bleed from some other. I'll go ahead and mute it. So here, let's rather mute it. Solo this back up. And then we'll unmute it. Okay, so you hear the plate. So now there's some other things you can do with this that I found in the process of putting this all together to make it sound more like hardware reverbs. And one useful thing is a EQ. So I'll grab the EQ3, the stock Pro Tools EQ, the one-band EQ, because all I want to do is add a low-pass filter. And what I found is that it can be very creative use of a low-pass filter to sweep it and get different colorations. So I'm going to go ahead and let's start with like a 16K low-pass filter from the Impulsive folder. When you install Pro Tools, when you install Impulsive, it comes with plug-in settings for Logic, Digital Performer, and Pro Tools. And you can insert these settings in the appropriate folders. There's documentation for this to allow you to access them from within the plugin, which just sets everything up and makes it easy for you. So what I'll go ahead and do is play this with the EQ unmuted. It starts to become a little bit of a darker sound or whatever, or maybe a warmer sound. And then as I open it up, it gets more airy. So I can use the EQ to kind of dial in and get the sound that I want for this. And I find this to be very useful and kind of really capturing the quality or the color of the snare plate in this case. And then the other thing I want to add is modulation. When you shoot an impulse, when you create convolution impulse responses, you're taking a snapshot of something. However, hardware reverberators, they move over time. They have motion. There's modulation going on in many of the presets. So we can replicate this modulation using a modulated delay plugin. Again, we have presets for Logic, Digital Performer, and Pro Tools. I'm going to go to the delay folder and just grab the slap delay. It's the stock Pro Tools slap delay. Then if I click on the preset folder, you'll see my Impulsive folder. And here are all the modulation presets that we've created. I've got them broken down into folders, but they range from basically real subtle randomizers, which just kind of, decouple the sound of the reverb so it's not just constantly triggering and it just sounds a little bit different and makes it very, very natural sounding, to things with very subtle modulations, to heavier modulations, to choruses, up to kind of full-on, heavier choruses. So we can pick something that might work well. Maybe on something this, I want a little motion on the tail. Maybe I want maybe a medium chorus or a subtle chorus or something like that. Let's just go ahead and pick a medium chorus. And then within each of these folders, you see that there are choices from normal, wide, wider, and ultra wide. And this is all based on, as we've played with different reverberators, there are many of the presets will do things to widen the stereo image. So we can do the same thing here. So let's go ahead and just grab maybe the wide preset. So medium chorus wide. So you see it's kind of just a chorusing of the tail of the snare plate, which I think will make it sit in the mix really nicely. So let's go ahead and unsolo this, and we'll go ahead and listen to the track and listen to it in place. So you hear a really nice snare plate, and it sits nice in the mix, and emulates what it would have sounded like had we had that particular reverberator when we're mixing. So that's kind of how you use Impulsive with TL Space in this particular example. But again, it should work with any convolution reverb player. It does work on any other platform as well. That's about a wrap. If you have any questions, give the folks at Sweetwater a call. I'm sure they'll be able to answer your questions, or if they don't know the answer, I'm sure they can find it for you. And thank you very much.